Since pre-ordering Grand Theft Auto 6, I've been doing a lot of reminiscing, as you can see from the videos I've been making. Along with this, I've been looking back on a lot of the Grand Theft Auto trailers, looking at conspiracies, looking back on the myths, just everything to do with Grand Theft Auto. This eventually landed me on a question. Why did Rockstar make the Stories games? Examples being Vice City Stories and Liberty City Stories. Why didn't Rockstar just jump straight to Grand Theft Auto 4 after the success of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas? And why didn't they create a San Andreas Stories after the success of all the other games? A lot of questions, and today we're going to answer them. First, let's go back to the release of Grand Theft Auto 3. It sold roughly 11.6 million copies on the PlayStation 2. That is a huge number, but it gets even bigger when you compare it to the last Grand Theft Auto game, which is Grand Theft Auto 2. That sold around 2 million copies. 3 sold nearly 10 million copies more than that. That is a gigantic leap for any company that make any products. They basically revolutionized the gaming industry. Then Vice City came along and sold 14.2 million copies. Rockstar just made 2 extremely profitable games. Then pair that with Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, which sold 27 million copies. They were raking in the cash at this stage, so obviously they wanted to continue this trend. But here's what happened. With technology advancing, they must have realized that completing Grand Theft Auto 4 would take much longer than the other games. So they'd be going from releasing a game nearly every year to every 4 years now. If we look at the timeline, there was a game in 97, 99, 01, 02, 04, and after seeing the success of the 3D era of Grand Theft Auto games and the money that they brought in, they probably thought, okay, shit, we can't just stop releasing stuff for 4 years. We'll lose so much money. And this is where the Stories games come into play. And they thought, cool, okay, so we can save time by using the maps that we already have, and that also saves us a bit of development money. And what we can do is we could just, flesh out the story, flesh out the characters that we already created. And let's call them the Stories games, because we're telling stories of other characters that are on the map. For example, Liberty City Stories is set 3 years before Grand Theft Auto 3 and shows how the Leone family came to power. And then Vice City Stories is set 2 years before Vice City and shows how Vice City's criminal underworld developed before Tommy Vercetti arrived. That's not all that encouraged these games. In 2004, the PSP was released. It sold around 80 million consoles throughout its lifespan. It was a huge deal back in the day, like extremely popular, and Rockstar said, we are having some of that, man. All these factors combined, Rockstar's next 2 major releases were Vice City Stories and Liberty City Stories on the PSP. And it would be an understatement to say that this plan worked well. Liberty City Stories is the best-selling PSP game of all time, and Vice City Stories sold 7 million copies. And along with that, Rockstar were able to keep their releases streak alive, releasing them in 2005 and another one in 2006. And then GT4 came out in 2008, and they made even more money by re-releasing these games on the PlayStation 2. So it was an amazing strategy overall. Now, saying that, with all of its success, why didn't they make a San Andreas Stories? It was the best-selling PlayStation 2 game of all time, and nothing came after it. So what happened? Well, Rockstar never fully told us, but we can speculate. First of all, San Andreas would not be able to run on the PlayStation Portable. The map was just way too big, and the whole game was just too complicated for that system. In reality, Vice City and Liberty City are quite small maps. Another reason could be, they just didn't want to make it. The story was already fleshed out enough. It was an absolute masterpiece. They probably said, look, we don't need to touch that anymore. We don't need to go near it anymore. Let's just fully focus on Grand Theft Auto 4. And I think this is true because they made a 20-minute introduction to this game. They were basically giving you every character's story before you even jump into San Andreas. So I think they've done enough. What character could they possibly flesh out? You know what I mean? And I think another big reason is that they already knew they were moving to the HD era. San Andreas was a perfect end to the 3D universe, in my opinion anyway. So maybe they said, look, let's just forget it, okay? This is perfect. Let's concentrate now on the HD era. Probably the most realistic reason is it would have lost money if it was released on the PSP, because by 2007, the HD consoles were up and running, you know. PSP was already coming to the end of its lifespan. They probably thought, okay, look, is there any point of releasing a new game on the PSP when it's already dying, when we should be really going for the PlayStation 3 or the Xbox 360? They probably made the right decision, because Grand Theft Auto 4 is amazing. It was the first of its kind on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. That's why I think it never happened. It's a bit of a shame, obviously, because San Andreas is just so good, but like, it was a mixture of things that it was probably not a good idea in the end. And that's my full explanation of the Stories games. And if you haven't played these games already, you really should be playing these games. These are amazing Grand Theft Auto games. You will not regret it. Keep playing games, ladies and gentlemen. Stay safe. Slán leat.